What's going on, everybody? It is Travis here with the NPCs. Of course, welcome to another weekly news roundup. It is June 25th, 2022. Today, we will be talking about how the game industry has reacted to the rescinding of Roe versus Wade by the Supreme Court. We'll be getting into that as our first story of the day. We'll also be talking about how a former Sonic team lead has confirmed that Michael Jackson did indeed contribute music to Sonic 3, thus quashing all of the rumors and setting everything straight for the record. Of course, we'll also be talking about how a streamer spent over $16,000 to earn themselves a legendary item within Diablo Immortal. That and more, of course, in today's Weekly News Roundup. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th, 2020 here to our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here too. Figured this is a kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and of course everything is all kinds of crazy. So this thing is a chonker. I mean,
yeah, it's a beast.
It's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPC's Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. And there we are. We are live. We are happy. We are healthy, at least as much as we are legally allowed to be. I've got to adjust my microphone because my newsstand is something I have to get used to. Of course, everybody, welcome to another episode of the NPC's Weekly News Roundup. Again, it is June 25th, 2022. My name is Travis, of course, via Discord because, well, that's just what it is. We need to redo the NPC studio, of course. It's Kyle. Hey, Kyle.
What's up?
Kyle, dude, I was really hoping that in the grand scheme of things, as it came to gaming news, that we would try to keep things out of politics as much as we could, that we would try to keep ourselves in line with the video game industry and talking about what's actually going on out there in the video game world. However, I think it would be a poor choice of ours to actually skip over talking about this. And of course, it does relate to gaming based on the comments that have come out. And this is actually our title story today. And Kyle, I hope you're ready to talk about this. We are going to be going through game companies responding to the Roe versus Wade decision. I think it's pretty easy to sum up that we have quite a few folks out there who are probably pretty well aware. I can't imagine anybody really not being aware of what happened. But the Supreme Court on, was it yesterday? Or was it Thursday? I think it was yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, so yesterday being Friday, June 24th, the Supreme Court has struck down Roe versus Wade in its entirety, which is the protection that allows for abortions here in the United States, or at least allows for that level of protection, and is turning it back over to the states. However, many states have already passed rather strict abortion laws that do not allow for any sort of abortions past a certain time period, and even some where it's considered by quite a few people, I'd say, doctors and scientists and that conception does not immediately mean that there's life right there. It's there's a lot to it, but some of these laws actually prevent it from the point of conception, which for a lot of people, they'll never know when that is. A lot of them are rules that go into even 6 weeks after, which at some point in time, may not even know that you are. Any woman or girl knows that they are pregnant. And unfortunately, that has led to a lot of fury and fire, of course, from everybody, and that includes Kyle and myself. We are definitely on the side of what is considered pro-choice. And we feel that for us not to say anything here on our side, and of course talk about what the game industry has said about it, is not right. And I think it's easy enough to say that we are rather upset by the decisions that have been put forth. We are upset by, I'm speaking for both of us. Kyle, you can step in at any point in time here, but
yeah, no, go ahead. No, you're good.
We're also very upset, of course, by a lot of these unfortunately, what I consider booby-trapped laws that are also in effect as of now, too. Like, I believe our home state of Wyoming as well has decided to actually set a law in place that would trigger and go into effect as soon as Roe v. Wade was overturned. I've got to go back and do some double checking on that. That was some information that came out around the time of the Roe v. Wade decision leak. In tandem with that, though, too, we've got other places here around the United States that are now going to be enacting even stricter laws that make it even harder for women and girls to receive the care they need should there be any sort of problem. And as the parent of a girl and as the husband of someone who has suffered a miscarriage, unfortunately, the steps that I need to take to protect them and others has increased greatly. And that means I've got more work ahead of myself to make sure that they can get the care that they need for any and all foreseeable problems in the future. So I just want to make it clear that we here at the NPCs do not stand by anything that represents what the pro-life, those in the pro-life group have been stating and have been putting forth out there, because it has now become not even pro-life, it has become anti-choice. And it's very upsetting that that's at the point that we're at now, of course, that it's not pro-life, it's anti-choice. But of course, it's not just us here at the NPCs where we talk about things in the gaming industry. It's also those in the gaming industry themselves who have stepped up and at least provided their own comments on what has happened with the events there too. And it looks like Kyle's stream, or Kyle's connection to me has crashed, so he'll be back on here momentarily. You get to stare at his frozen face there here for a second. I will actually do this here until he gets back on. Let's see, where is that image there, just to at least keep it up. So until he hops back on, we'll leave it there for now. But we can go ahead and get in and talk about this. Once Kyle's online, then we'll go further as well. But Axios here has actually put together a list from former Kotaku editor Stephen Totilo, who says several major game studios and the largest organizations for international game developers explicitly or implicitly criticize today's U.S. Supreme Court ruling removing federal protections for abortion in America. And so the details here come from several different companies, and here's where I'm going to name off or at least read off at least what these other companies or these companies have said. We believe that bodily autonomy and reproductive freedom are fundamental human rights, and that was in a tweet from Sony's PlayStation Santa Monica Studios, and that's the studio that's responsible for God of War. We have reproductive freedom and bodily autonomy are human rights, and that was from a tweet from Insomniac Games, another PlayStation studio. Ubisoft also stepped up and provided their comments too, saying, "Today and every day we believe that reproductive rights are human rights." And then the International Game Developers Association stepped up and said that they condemn the decision. And it also looks like what we had here as well, too, is that Bungie developers of the original Halo series, as well as Destiny, stepped up and said, "We remain undeterred in our commitment to stand up for reproductive choice and liberty." And this was what they were vocal with as well, too. Same comments that they made when the original draft was leaked out back in May. And here's the interesting part from Stephen Totilo where he makes mention of this, is he says that any celebration of today's decision among industry players was not visible during Axios' initial sweep of online reactions, basically coming back and saying that there were no problem, or at least no game studios that stepped up and made any mention of celebrating the change to this law or change to these rules. And to be honest, that's actually a great thing. The video game industry, even with a lot of the strife and a lot of the chaos that has come up in the video game industry, especially as it relates to discrimination and such. We're still dealing with the issues that have surrounded what's going on with Activision Blizzard and Ubisoft right now. But the video game industry is very progressive. Yeah. Hey, Kyle, welcome back. I don't see your camera on my side, though. So
had a random crash. So
yeah, double check your camera there for me, dude.
Pop up.
Nope, not yet. Let me just see here. And do we have him back?
It's trying.
It is trying. No, still no camera there. Oh, wait. Yes, no, I don't know. I don't see your camera there yet, so
Um,
I'll let you keep troubleshooting that though, at least for now.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, there was nobody out there, or I guess let me get back to where I was saying instead of repeating that again. But uh, the majority of the video game industry is rather progressive and fights for the rights and for everybody. You're back, by the way. I have your video. Um,
Okay, cool.
so those in the industry are very progressive and fight for the rights of many people. A lot of the studios and a lot of the workforce within those studios are not only pro-choice, but also are those who really work towards diversity and inclusion, work towards the support of the LGBTQ plus communities. And so something like this, of course, is going to garner their support for the members of their staff and the members of their team, as well as the wider world full of women, especially to make sure that their voices are not being left unheard and that they are going to be having the support that they need going forward. So,
Well, and I
yeah,
was
go
even
ahead.
hearing that there are more companies even beyond the game industry that are showing their support for women as well, and
Yeah,
saying that they would even cover charges if need be, if
yeah,
anything incurs.
yeah. And there was
So
I believe Microsoft made the comment here. It's not in the article that we have here. Let me see if I can actually find that. Let's see, Microsoft, Roe v. Wade. Let's see. There's a whole list of like tech companies. You're absolutely right. So in this article from TechCrunch, they make mention here. So here's what Microsoft said to TechCrunch. They said it will do everything it can under the law to support its employees and their dependents in accessing healthcare, regardless of where they live in the U.S. Um, and then carrying on here, it's like prior to the decision, the company includes services like abortion and gender affirming care in its health plans, and this won't change. Microsoft says it will also continue to pay travel expense assistance for lawful medical services, where access to care is limited in availability in an employee's home geographic region. Meaning that Microsoft will assist with not only the fact that their health insurance plans cover it, but also that they'll make sure that that their travel is also covered for stuff as well. Um, eBay also said that effective June 8th, 2022, so several weeks ago before this came out, they expanded benefits so employees and beneficiaries can be reimbursed to travel in the U.S. to receive access to abortion treatment if it's not available locally. And then the company said that the process will be managed through its healthcare carriers to maintain confidentiality. So eBay won't know that that's what you're going off for. They will support it no matter what, but they're not going to have some sort of register or list that says, oh, yeah, our person took PTO to go get an abortion. That's not anything that they're going to have happen.
right, and I no one should have any sort of list, of
Oh,
course.
no, absolutely not. But yeah, a few other companies as well too. But of course, we want to focus more on the gaming side of it anyway. I'm looking through here. Microsoft really being the big one to make mention of because Microsoft is the parent company for Xbox, and
Well,
Xbox is
and
massive. So
of course, obviously, Sony being a big player because of Studio Santa Monica and Bungie, both own. I want to say they're both owned by Sony, right?
yeah, so Santa Monica and Insomniac did, and then Bungie, of course. I don't think the acquisition is closed yet, but yes, all of those did.
Yeah.
The main Sony studio, like the main PlayStation headquarters, though, has not said anything yet. It's been just the first party studios that have said things. So that's all.
Right.
But even so, the statement out there right now from all of these companies is that we appreciate the works that our team does, and we're going to support them in everything possible that we can, and that by them standing up and providing their statement to at least make sure that they are taking care of their employees says a lot about their ethics and their goals to make sure that everybody is treated fairly within their ranks. And
Right.
I don't think we can ask for anything different from these companies, though, that they take care of their employees to the fullest extent that they can, because a happy employee is going to do the best work possible and is going to want to show up to work, is going to want to do things. If their company ends up not wanting to help them in this case, or makes disparaging remarks that doesn't fit in with, not necessarily fit in, but that makes disparaging remarks that brings them down, you're not going to have an employee anymore. And it's just,
Or a company
yeah.
that doesn't just support your basic human rights for that matter.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is just the support for the human rights. And again, it doesn't just talk about the abortion. It's talking about LGBTQ. It's about talking about the diversity
Yeah,
inclusion with people of color and people with disabilities and really anything. Is that you can't limit yourself. You've got to support. You've got to really make sure that that people are taken care of and that you're using your leverage and your power in this world for good to be able to take care of not only your employees but doing your best to try to help those around you. And the fact that the game companies, as we talked about, are rather progressive and really putting their best foot forward to take care of their teams, it makes me feel like those people are going to be in a much better spot than the people who are just out there right now on the street that may not necessarily get what they need. So that's just
absolutely.
yeah. So at least at this time, that's where we sit at here with the NPCs is that we fully condemn the rescinding of Roe versus Wade. We condemn the states that have, or at least condemn the policies and rules that these states have put into place that restrict access to that necessary care. And this is going to lead to things farther down the line that are going to hurt everybody in the end. It's going to make things worse going forward unless we get that change in our world, or especially in our nation, that we so desperately need. So
I agree.
I'm going to leave it at that part for now. I could definitely probably go on for a while because, again, as the parent of a girl and being a husband, of course, as well, as that I've got people in my life to look out for and make sure that they're taken care of. So that's where all this sits at. But we're going to get away from that. We're going to move on into some other gaming news. And this, Kyle, very interesting to hear about is that the Xbox actually outsold the PlayStation 5 again in Japan last week. So according to Video Games Chronicle, who pulled this data from Famitsu, the Xbox Series X sold 3,272 units, while the Xbox Series S sold 3,423 units. So you think just under 7,000 units were sold of the Xbox Series line in Japan, whereas the PlayStation 5 sold 2,371 disc consoles and 664 digital only for a total of just under 3,000. That's pretty
The span.
alarming.
I mean, you look at the span on like the disc units, and yeah, it's about 900, and you're like, okay, that's not a ton. But then you look down at the all digital units, and you're like, holy cow, that's where they're making their money. Xbox is selling tons of digital consoles because, not everyone's going to go out and buy a brand new Samsung TV. Not everyone is going to want to play necessarily just, streaming games. People are going to want to download the games. And all of a sudden, this cheap alternative, it looks pretty enticing to play all those games.
Oh yeah, and especially like Video Games Chronicle makes it clear here though on this, and here's the part that I want you to focus on too, is that it says this week's accomplishment also does little for the overall sales picture in Japan. To date, 1.69 million PlayStation 5 consoles have been sold, while 232,000 Xbox Series consoles have been sold. But they do make it clear though that it really shows how the PlayStation 5 shortage is actually affecting the way people are actually able to play games in one of their bigger markets. And I think now that we're starting to see that gap between games on PlayStation and games on Xbox really kind of like start to move closer and closer, especially with the announcement of like Persona games going over to Xbox, the expansion of indie titles, including like JRPG titles and other really like popular genres out of Japan that are showing up in Game Pass. It's really starting to show that maybe Microsoft isn't going to get all the way there, but they might have figured it out. And by having such a low cost on the Series S, that's their way to really kind of bridge that gap without forcing the Series X on everybody, you know?
Well, and there there might be a lot to do too with the fact that you're able to download um day one quite a few day one titles, with Game Pass. And let's face it, you can play some games online and access some features online without the Game Pass or Xbox Live Gold. But really and truly, you're going to want to buy the Game Pass, and they run so many deals on it. You're probably going to pick it up anyway. And all of a sudden, if you're able to play, 2 or 3 AAA titles a year and save that money just by playing them for free on your console, and then even getting a discount if you want to buy them digitally. Um, Aside from the fact that, you could buy 2 of the Series S's and stick them in 2 different rooms for $100 more than you can buy a Series X, and then that has to go in one room and one room alone.
Yeah, and hopefully with even outside of the digital only consoles though too, is that and that idea of putting them in multiple rooms is that you've also got to consider here in another like week or so, Microsoft is going to have the Xbox streaming app on Samsung TVs.
Mm-hmm.
And so that even makes it another worthwhile investment where it's like Japanese players don't have to go buy a console to play something. They just have to go buy a $60 Bluetooth controller and pay for Game Pass. And then that increases the market share at least a little bit more, but not necessarily hardware wise anyway. It's another way to at least build your metrics up.
But I think you are still limited to TVs that were produced within the last 2 or so years. So if you have an
True.
older Samsung smaller smart TV, it may not necessarily be compatible. So I mean that's where I kind of was like, you don't see people rushing out to, go buy new TVs just to be able to stream games.
Right.
If they're gonna buy the console, they might just get the Series S. Not only that, if they have a like a TV that doesn't do 4K, it may only be worth buying the Series S, at that time, because you're not getting the full capability or the full use out of the console in the first place.
And that logic is sound. That logic is very sound. I agree. I don't see people rushing out to go do it, but at least a TV becomes kind of more of a mainstay for things anyway, because you're gonna need the TV for everything else. So, for people to go and upgrade their television, which probably it's easier to get your hands on something like that versus a full console sometimes, that
Right.
is one thing. But there are alternatives out there, especially in Japan, where your living situation is definitely much more constrained than it is here in the United States, for example. You're living in like a smaller apartment of some type, especially that your space is going to be limited. And by even reducing something the size of the Series S down to something that just runs off of your TV, it's not necessarily that crazy of an idea to consider. But
Yeah.
needless to say, the fact that the Series S is doing even like as well as it is in Japan means that, the rumors are still holding true that, that it is very likely that the success of the Series S may lead to the Series S being the first refresh of the console line versus the X. That's, I think,
I mean,
I
it's
think that's the true
possible.
part.
I don't know. I think there is a lot of novelty still in getting a Series X, but parts and labor and just mostly acquisition of the parts for the thing. I think we'll probably see a refresh of that console, because you've heard about refreshes with the PS5 already with the cooling, and I think there was one other thing that they refreshed on
Let's
the
see,
console.
they changed out the cooling fins
Hmm.
and the heat pipes to something a little bit more narrowed down, and I think that was a combination
And they
cost cutting
removed the
measure for them,
copper.
and that there was a combination like cost cutting measure and a supply issue. And then they changed out something with the Wi-Fi antennas. I don't know exactly what per se.
That was it.
Maybe something layout wise needed to change because of the modification to the cooling.
Yeah.
I mean, you change
And
materials, sometimes that can cause interference.
Right. And see, I don't think I've heard of anything like that with the Series X as of yet. I mean,
Right.
it's a pretty tight unit in the first place. If you've ever seen one opened up, I know there's other YouTube videos out there
Hmm.
where they've gotten to take apart dummy units, and it's like literally a puzzle block, like one of the Japanese puzzle blocks that only the parts fit in a certain way, but once it's all locked into place, it fits perfectly in this little shell.
Exactly. And thank God it's not like Tetris where you put it together and then it all just disappears. That would be terrible. It's like, oh, I'm going to take apart my Series X. I'm going to change out some cooling stuff on
That
here.
would be about a Tetris,
Put
wouldn't
some,
it?
put some thermal compound on, and then it's like, okay, put it back together, and it just vanishes right in front of you. Yeah, because I stare at
No.
I stare at my Series X and just imagine that happening, and no, thank you. But even so, um, it's cool to at least see that that's like it's a nice little metric there, and it's like a nice little like back from the behind the crowd. It's like the one person in SpongeBob who cheers like hooray, while everybody else is
Yeah.
just stoic. It's like a nice little victory, especially because we're Xbox fanboys. At least right now, because that's what we could just get our hands on right now. So that's what
Yeah.
we're playing mostly. But needless to say, little victories are always good. But maybe we'll see that Series S refresh come up sometime around the holidays. Who knows? You know,
Yeah, and maybe I would be. I have a PS4 personally, and I haven't been able to get on the PS5. But maybe if I had more accessibility to my games on PC, hint hint, PlayStation, um, I would probably play more of my PlayStation games.
So you're
But
telling
right
me that
now,
you're telling me that you're upset that you're going to have a Steam Deck coming in soon that will let you take Horizon Forbidden
oh no, that's gonna
West
break everything. That
and
that 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 just breaks everything
God of
because then it,
War
it will be everything
and
about.
Persona. I mean, the list can go on, but Kyle, I'm not really hearing much of an issue, and it sounds like you don't need to go buy a PlayStation anytime soon. So I think you're
Not
good.
really, not
No, I
really.
think you're
And as soon
fine.
as Returnal launches, shoot.
Yeah, all you have to do is just give it a little bit of time, and you'll have a place. You'll be able to just have PlayStation games on PC the same day they launch on PlayStation, and you'll be
Right?
all set and ready to go. 10 out of 10. Way to go,
Heck
Sony.
yeah.
Anyway, let's move on here, Kyle, because this I think led the video game world just like or made it all like crazy right now with the final confirmation on this. Michael Jackson. Oh my God. Urban legend went on to say that Michael Jackson wrote music and went uncredited for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the one of the Sonic video games back in the days of what was it, the Genesis? Yeah, the Genesis.
Yep.
And everybody was like, "Oh, that it's got to be Michael Jackson who's doing this because it came out back in like 2009, 2010, just after his death." When
Mhm.
people who used to work with him had said, yeah, he wrote music for Sonic. Well, there was never a confirmation from Sega. They always stayed tight-lipped about it and never came out and said why. Now, we have a former Sonic team lead, Yuji Naka. He was the lead programmer, nonetheless, on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. He confirmed it. Here's what he said on Twitter. Does Sonic Origins Sonic 3 have a different song? Oh my God, the music for Sonic 3 has changed, even though Sega official uses Michael Jackson's music.
See, and
There you
it's
go.
funny because I want to say his tweet was originally pulled down. I don't know if it's gotten put back up since then. But the ironic part about it was something that Sega had said in another tweet or on their website that had caused Yuji Naka to think that they had actually confirmed that it was Michael Jackson's music. So he was just gonna say, "Oh wow, I'm surprised," because I apparently he only uses a translator. He doesn't actually speak English, so everything was just getting jumbled in translation, and what we got is what we got. So by accident, we for sure found out.
Yeah. It's it's just funny here. You are right that it's like um
I
it
think he
very well
even
could
goes
be a
on in a later
translation.
string of tweets to say
Yeah.
that he's just using a translation app. That if he knew the language better, this might not have happened or gone down the way it did.
Yeah, but I think though that like the way the syntax is written here and the way things go together is that like I can imagine some difficulty when it comes for translation apps and such, but
Mhm.
uh, not enough necessarily to skew it where you think that like that you wouldn't learn or that it would be that like far off or something. I mean, I know Japanese can sometimes be a little weird, but
The
especially when it comes to like
syntax is a little
translation, I think
different.
right,
Yeah.
but it's like there's nothing in here that's like a negative in the sense of saying like no or not or isn't. There's nothing in here that was translated out to be able to be something like that. There's nothing here that
Right.
basically like denies what that is. So that's why I take it really more that this rumor, this urban legend that Michael Jackson made music for Sonic 3 is true. It's finally been confirmed. Okay, by
Yeah.
the person
And
who
maybe
programmed
he
Sonic 3 nonetheless.
maybe he just wanted to bury the hatchet. Who knows? Just
Yeah.
like say, okay, you know what? It's real, guys.
Yeah,
You know.
and Serpent Knight here on chat says another Sonic Michael Jackson connection. There's a track in the Master System Game Gear version of Sonic 1 that Janet Jackson's Together Again seems to be inspired by in terms of its melody. So you're
Huh.
saying that it's possible, or according to this, that it's very likely that there is a song in the Master System Game Gear version of the first Sonic the Hedgehog game that Janet Jackson also used for the beat melody of her song Together Again. So okay, we need someone out there in the crowd in wherever to find
In the ether.
that song Janet Jackson's Together Again and that song from Sonic the Hedgehog 1, whichever one it is. Do a side by side with them, get them put together. Let's get the analysis going. Get that put together. Send that to us. Let's
Yeah,
hear it
run
for
it through
ourselves.
a melodic beat mapper. I kind of want to know. That's interesting.
Just don't run it through Dolly though. I don't think we need to see Michael
Oh
Jackson as
God.
Sonic. Which, by the way, Kyle, make a note of that
It
so we
never
try
gets
that
the
later.
faces right.
No, it doesn't. But let's make sure to try that later. Michael Jackson as Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay. Anyway, let's carry on here because Kyle, this actually is definitely more directed at you than anything. But I know you're not going to do
man,
this.
this is insane.
A streamer has spent around 15 to 16,000 US dollars, or in New Zealand dollars, 25,165, to earn a 5-star, which is the max rank, 5-star legendary gem in Diablo Immortal.
Holy guacamole!
Kyle, would you spend 16 grand to get a 5-star gem?
Shh. No, I don't even know what my current gems do. To be honest with you, I've gotten a bunch of them, and I'm like, what? I've upgraded some of them, I think. Yeah, I don't really play the game enough to go out and do that. I've spent like I think $18 total on the game, and it totally wasn't even worth that.
Oh, it's even worse here, Kyle. It's even worse. I'm going to share this out here really quick. Thanks
'Cause
to
I don't know. You didn't actually put it in here, but there actually has been one player that has completed the game without any microtransactions. So it has been completed already
Kyle.
without needing any microtransactions.
I'm going to drop you the link to this right now because I was trying to find this and I was like, I thought it was him, but it definitely and for sure it is him. He not only did that and spent the 16 grand, he then went on, and I'm going to put this up here for everybody. He went on and deleted his character right after.
Are you kidding me?
No. So here's the video from his Twitch.
Fucking Blizzard.
Oh my god.
Fuck this dog shit game. Fuck this dog
I'm
shit
just
game.
gonna watch it through the
Fuck that
broadcast.
trash. Seriously, fuck everyone should quit. Delete your accounts. Fucking quit this dog shit game. Fuck this trash. Let's get the fuck out of here, boys. Let's get the fuck out of here. I ain't got time for that shit, man. Alright, what are we actually playing though, seriously? What are we actually playing?
So he did. He went in and he, as soon as he did that and confirmed that was the case, by spending the 16 grand, which, he's very capable of doing as a streamer, with the donations that have come in from his viewers, he was able to shut down, or he determined that was the case, and he then deleted his account in protest, which a lot of people are finding interesting because it's like, you already spent the 15, 16 grand. You're not getting that back. And so by deleting it as a form of protest seems a little weird.
Yeah, you've literally accomplished nothing, but you gave Blizzard Activision $16,000. So congratulations for signing employees' paychecks, dude. I guess.
Yeah, and this streamer, just in case, I don't know if I shared his name here. Streamer's name is Quinn, Quin. So yes, he decided that that was what he was going to do, and I gotta say, it's a very interesting form of protest to go and spend that kind of money and then get out of there. But he was at least willing to spend that money to prove a point, to show how microtransaction-y it was to be able to get something like that. That, you know, we don't have any metrics or information to show, okay, how common is it for there to be a drop from just randomly, not something you pay for, but just a drop that gets you a tier 5 item, a tier 5 gem.
Right. I definitely think it goes to show that the statistics on the game might be loaded and could be potentially predatory. I mean, I don't know how many other players have
Microtransactions
gone
are
out
predatory, Kyle. Quick, call up Kotaku,
Well,
call up IGN.
everyone
and tell
already
them that.
knows that, but I mean,
I'm just messing with you.
egregiously predatory. Because I mean,
Oh yeah,
you think about it, like if it were just cosmetics and they all cost the same amount of money, or you know, specific tiers only cost, you know, this much money, like a common was like $1, an uncommon was like $2, and a rare was like $5, then
right.
you know, that would make sense. But that's not the case, you know.
No, it's not. It's definitely very predatory with this, and like, I'm going to continue playing Diablo Immortal as much as I can without spending any money in it. I know you've done it as well too, but I think you did it though to really look at the opposite side of it, just to kind of see the value. And how much have you actually spent in it so far?
I think between about $18 and $20, to be honest with you. I
Okay.
haven't bought everything that's popped up, but a couple of things that it's kind of been my goal to purchase most of the things that auto prompt as a purchase. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm buying this. You know, it's a one-time offer for, you know, 65% off. So I've got up to about, actually it might be $22, I think. So,
Okay. Oh, and
but yeah.
really quick here, Kyle, I'm dropping this here. I'm going to put this into the Discord chat for you too, because this is funny. Oh, actually, I need to, let's see here. Copy link. Hang on, this goes back to our other story here really quick, because this is just funny. Thanks to Serpent Knight actually sharing this with me directly. He has found the Sega Genesis remix of Janet Jackson Together Again here. So I know we're talking Diablo
wow.
Immortal, but I want to flip to that really quick. Oops, and of course your video is all a little weird here too, thanks to the way Discord handles this. So let me flip back to this here, because this is funny. Okay. And I'm not going to put on the actual Together Again song just because I don't need us to have a copyright strike and things taken down. So it's very interesting to think that that could very well be the case. But anyway, I didn't want to get too far off there with Diablo Immortal, but I was like, okay, I got to share this with you now.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Anyway,
that's insane.
Anyway, anything else on the Diablo Immortal front from you? You said you spent $20. $20 isn't really too bad in the world of microtransactions. 16,000 is obscene, but
I mean, yeah, that's absurd. I don't make any
that.
streamer money, so I don't know how that goes. But even in terms of just regular person money, $20 is 20 whatever dollars. That's a lot to spend. 15 for the battle pass is a lot to spend considering it's only a month. I mean, you get it for 30 days. So if you buy it in the middle of the month, you've wasted your money effectively because you don't
Shocker.
have I mean, you don't really have that much of a chance to even hit the full level. I know I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's just going to continue to be predatory until someone else steps up and says, "Hey, knock your shit off." Regardless of
I mean,
that, though.
it's a pretty good game. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
if it
like it.
weren't for all the notifications for the microtransactions and BS, um, overall the gameplay is fun. It sticks true to the Diablo theme. The characters are fun to play as, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, Kyle, we love Diablo, and we unfortunately know that this microtransaction thing with Immortal is not going to go away. But let's go ahead and make
Ugh.
things worse instead with microtransactions and talk about microtransactions and something that's existed long enough without it. 343. Oh my God, this annoys me. 343 has
You
come out
joke.
and said that they're considering some sort of microtransaction system in Halo, the Master Chief Collection, not Infinite, because Infinite already has something like that anyway, but
Right.
Master Chief Collection. Okay. Here's what they said
Bull.
according to
This is
IGN.
bull.
Yeah. So here's what they said from IGN, and this is what they got from the 343 blog post. For players who are new to the Master Chief Collection or who may not have dedicated much time specifically to unlocking items during the seasonal updates, or are simply completionists looking to catch the last outstanding items they need, we are internally exploring a potential new feature for the future in the form of purchasable Spartan points. So they are exploring some sort of ability to purchase those Spartan points, which you earn as you complete challenges in Master Chief Collection, as you earn achievements. And those Spartan points can be turned around and spent to buy different skins, armor sets, name badges, and such for yourself. But there's no like purchasing behind them. Like you don't go and spend money to go and get them in the first place. But the fact though that 343 came up and said, "Hey, we're going to add this in there as well," which, God damn it, if they can do it, or if they make it happen, they better not change the way that they're earned right now. And they even make comment here later on that says, "We're happy with the current system of how players earn Spartan points by completing challenges and leveling up through play. This would be an optional additive alternative for players who might find the vast scope of content to be an intimidating amount of playtime and want to get ahead on or skip the grind, or maybe want to grab specific items they want. We all have our favorites." So that's what it needs to be then. It needs to be that the actual earning potential stays the exact same as it has been. And if you want to add in that additional bonus for people to be able to go and spend money on stuff like that, go for it. That's fine. Go ahead and do it. But as soon as it comes into where you add that in as a microtransaction, but you reduce the amount that you earn by completing challenges and leveling up, that's not good. That's antithetical to the whole thing that it has been since day one.
This honestly kind of feels like a squeeze to me. Like this is like an end of life squeeze. They want to quit supporting the game, but they see that it's still really popular, especially with, Halo Infinite still being popular. I know we bounce back and forth between playing campaign on the Master Chief Collection, on the various Halos, and then go on to Infinite to play multiplayer, and then hop back on to Master Chief to play multiplayer because the multiplayers are different and they're all fun.
Exactly. That's why I like the ideas. That's why I like what Master Chief Collection is because you don't have to boot up into like each individual game to play like all these different things. Like whether for us we're trying to go back through the campaign again, or we're we do like sometimes jumping into the multiplayer because it's nice to have that throwback to just good classic Halo.
Absolutely.
And so, sure, it is an older game or older set of games, but it does feel like it is. It's like taking that damp washcloth and trying to wring it out even more to see how much water you can get out of it at the very end.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And it's like, come on, 343. You guys have something good going here. Don't
That's what it
drop the
feels
ball
like.
with this. You have
Yeah,
I
don't
think
screw it up.
I think
Just keep
long-term
going.
support, exactly, long-term support for Master Chief Collection is good. And if this is some sort of internal idea that's going to try to force people to go to Halo Infinite, it's like, it's like, hey, if we introduce this, maybe it'll bring up our player base in Infinite. This is the wrong way to do it, folks. This is the wrong way to approach it. So please don't do this. Please don't.
Yeah, no, I mean if anything, if they have to add it in, it has to be a parallel system that, you could still earn the points to purchase all the equipment regardless, or you could spend money on it. That's the only way it can work. But don't screw with the points and how many points that it takes, because the minute you start saying, oh well, this used to take 500 points, now it takes 1200 points, to unlock something like that. That's BS. Keep it the same. Be fair about it.
100%. 100%. So don't screw up
Yeah.
Master Chief Collection, please. But
I mean, I get the fact that they still need to be able to keep the servers online, especially if more people are coming back to the game. But, don't screw it up for the long-term people. I've had it since day one, guys.
Same here. I have a physical copy for the Xbox, and I've got it on my PC thanks to Game Pass. But I've got the Xbox One from day one, so just...
Actually, I think I ended up getting rid of my physical copy because I got another free copy that was a digital copy.
You get a copy. You get a copy. Or instead, what is it? I got a copy. I got a copy. I got a copy. You're just all over the place.
Yeah, it was a manager's conference thing.
No kidding. No kidding. Those old GameStop perks that probably don't exist much anymore. But even
probably not.
Even so, please, 343, don't mess with Master Chief Collection like that.
Yeah.
But let's move on here to our last bit, of course, and that is the NPCs news quest markers. And that's with Kyle, of course. Kyle is going to take that away. I've given him something a little fresh here in the stream as well. So I'll cut over to that, and there's still some tweaks that are coming with this one. But Kyle, it's all you. Tell us about the quest markers for this week's news.
So, for our first quest marker, Tiny Tina's Wonderland rolls a crit on Steam.
Woo!
Debuting, actually, what was it? I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Let's see, a couple days ago, but it did drop yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it does end its Epic Games exclusivity and dropped on Steam. And actually dropped on Steam with a new surprise of fresh DLC to launch with it. So, of course, you will still be able to access the DLC via Epic Games Store if you've previously purchased it. But new DLC and a fresh new game for the Borderlands series for all you Steam players out there.
Huzzah!
Continuing on, fans in the world of Super Mario have released a 10-player Super Mario Odyssey multiplayer mod.
What?
The unofficial project allows 10 people to actually play simultaneously, exploring the kingdom. The mod apparently is still under development. However, it is unclear of when full implementation will take place, or if Nintendo will block it. Of course,
it'll get blocked.
Nintendo.
We know what happens.
But kind of a cool concept. I think it'd be really cool to play, especially New Donk City, in that 10-player mode.
Races going.
You could cause a lot of havoc.
Get races going on the Vespas and that.
Oh yeah. Or even just on the telephone lines, jumping around.
Perfect.
That'd be cool. Heck yeah. And then for our last quest marker of the day, Chris Pratt, wow, can't talk, says his Mario voice is unlike anything you've ever heard before.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, Pratt seems to think he has something special going on, saying, quote, I worked really closely with the director and trying to get a few things and landed on some that I'm really proud of and can't wait for people to see and hear. It's an animated voiceover narrative. It's not a live action movie. I'm not going to be wearing a plumber suit running all over. I'm still providing a voice for an animated character, and it is an updated, and it's been updated, and unlike anything you've heard in the Mario world before. End quote. So take that as you will. I mean, we all know how Star-Lord sounds, or our favorite raptor trainer. So
Yeah, so
just imagine that as Mario.
yeah, so instead of it's a me and Mario, we're gonna get it's a me, Mario.
It's me, Mario.
It is me, Mario.
I don't know. We're all trying now.
We really are all trying, but what
We're all voice actors now.
we are. But what we're going to try to do here instead is actually go ahead and close this out. We're going to try to finish this up here. But that is it, everybody, for this week's NPCs Weekly News Roundup again for June 25th, 2022. So thank you so much for sticking with us. Of course, if you missed out on any of this VOD, of course, we'll be having this up, of course, as podcast form too, so you can go back and re-listen to it, share it out with your friends, or of course, go back. You can watch this entire VOD over once it finishes publishing here on our YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast over on anchor.fm/the-NPCs-podcast, or on your favorite podcast platform of choice, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and more. With that, of course, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. We'll catch you all next week.
Bye-bye.